आप म्यूट कर दें आई थिंक.
Right. Ji. So that is what PMBOK is all about. Body of knowledge includes both published and unpublished material. Interestingly, this is not only the research work or the published work. This body of knowledge refers to all published and unpublished work, the research which has been carried out, which has not been published. So such like things which are the practices anywhere in the world, they have been inducted into it. Now, you must be surprised how all these practices can be inducted at one single place without being published. That is because they actually engaged the professionals from worldwide. So, professionals from all over the world, all parts of the world, they got together and they contributed towards the creation of this body of knowledge, and that's why this body of knowledge is the most comprehensive body of knowledge existing in project management. This body of knowledge is constantly evolving. As I said, it was first published in a book form in 1996. Since then, every 4 to 5 years, they are revising it. Basic cycle is 4 years, but sometimes it took 5 years also. But the first edition was in 1996. Second edition was 2000. Then it was 2004 or 5 probably. It took to 2005, then 2009, and so on and so forth. So you see, this body of knowledge is constantly evolving, and all the changes which are expected to be built into the system according to the latest requirements, they are being inducted into this body of knowledge. Actually, the sixth edition is a proof of this, because agile practices have been completely, inducted into each and every knowledge area. And tailoring considerations, as you might have observed in the index, in the content, the tailoring consideration are provided for every chapter. How the ingredients of this chapter can be tailored for the need of the organization. The interesting thing is this body of knowledge is not supposedly mandatory for all project managers. It is the will and wish or the option of the project manager to pick any good practices given in this standard. But all of the practices provided into this standard are the good practices. I said basically they got together all the professionals from worldwide, and they contributed the common practices of project management from all areas, all disciplines, all industries. So when these common practices were gathered, then it was enough to establish that this is how project management is done worldwide. These are the common practices. Everybody everywhere in the world is following these practices. But the question was, are these all practices supposed to be included in the standard? The thing was, there were certain heuristics, certain practices which were not really good practices, but they were just good to have. So, such like practices which were not good, but they were accepted by a wide audience, they were not recognized as good practices and therefore were not included into this standard. This standard only includes the good practices out of those common practices which have been sorted out. So, definitely, this standard is not only generic in nature, this generally recognizes, but it also recognizes the only the good practices. So, general recognition means the knowledge and practices described are applicable to most projects most of the time, and there is a consensus about their value and usefulness. So, all these generally recognized practices, if they are used, it has been generally seen that if these practices are used, they usually contribute to the success of the project. So, most of the projects, most of the time, are successful due to these practices. But then again, it is not a recipe for success. You can not blame PMBOK that this practice was given in PMBOK and my project failed due to that. That is due to the uncertainty and the wide gap between the projects, the difference between project to project. That's exactly why these general practices cannot be taken as a rule. Good practice means there is general agreement that the application of the knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project management processes can enhance the chances of success. Chances of success means that mostly it has been agreed and understood that the if somebody is using these good practices, he is likely to succeed. Likely to succeed. The chances of success have been enhanced by using these practices as compared to following some bad practices, which will always, resulting in something bad happening. Project managers work with the project team and other stakeholders to determine and use the appropriate generally recognized good practices for each project. So project to project, these things are going to differ. From one project to another project, the requirements might be different. So it is not necessary that all of the good practices given in this standard are to be used on any one single project. It is the responsibility of the project manager to work with his team as well as his stakeholders to recognize which are those practices which are useful for his project to be used. So, out of these many good practices, you can pick and choose which are more applicable to your project environment and which practices you want to use or you don't want to use. Determining the appropriate combination of processes, inputs, tools, and techniques, outputs, and life cycle phases to manage a project is referred to as tailoring. You see, now we have got the processes, we have got various inputs mentioned in this standard, tools, techniques, and outputs, and various other concepts are given here. All of those concepts may not be used on any one single project, but this is an option given to you. You can pick and choose, you can tailor your project according to with these good practices according to your project's needs and requirements. And naturally, I have just said that stakeholder and your team are the major players to decide. They are the deciding factor whether this practice is to be used in this project or not. So tailoring is something which is adopted in each and every chapter. All the good practices of each chapter, it provides a section on tailoring, how they can be tailored to fit the needs and requirements of each project. This PMBOK guide is different from a methodology. In other words, this guide is not a methodology. It is more of a framework rather than a methodology. This just gives you a general structure, skeleton, how the project management should be done, generally what sections should be adopted, in what should be done in each section. These kind of details are provided. Some practices are indicated. That as I said, it is a guide to the project management body of knowledge. So it doors the open to all the possibilities in the field of project management. As far as the methodology is concerned, that is more specific. Methodology is usually created by an organization for their own use. For example, UK government has come up with a Prince2 methodology, and that methodology is all encapsulated for the government projects of UK. So that is applicable to all projects. That is rather mandatory to be used for all projects in UK, but PMBOK is not mandatory for anything. This is not a methodology. This is not detailed methodology. In methodology, you can describe the practices, exact techniques and tools which are to be used and which are not to be used. But PMBOK does not say that these techniques should be used. They are not mandatory. They are tailorable and they are optional. So this is the pick and choose of the project manager and his team, which things are to be tailored according to the needs of the project. That is again one of the reasons it is not a methodology. PMBOK Guide is a foundation upon which organizations can build their own methodologies, their own policies, procedures, rules, tools, and techniques. So the skeleton has been provided to you, and you can build your own building based on that skeleton. So general layout is there, and you can apply it to your needs. Next is the standard for project management that I said is the same project management, but from the perspective of the process groups, the 5 process groups. This guide is based on that standard for project management. The standard is a document established by an authority, custom or general consent as a model or example. As an American National Standard Institute standard, the standard for project management was developed using a process based on the concepts of consensus, openness, due process, and balance. Standard for project management is foundational reference for the PMI's project management professional development programs and the practice of project management. So this is just the definition of the standard for project management. Because project management needs to be tailored to fit the needs of the project, the standard and guide are both based on descriptive practices rather than prescriptive practices. PMBOK Guide provides more detail about key concepts, emerging trends, considerations for tailoring, the project management processes, and information on how tools and techniques are applied to the projects. Project managers may use one or more methodologies. You see, this is your option which methodology you want to use. Even if you are using the framework of PMI, whatever methodology you want to use. I have personally used uh, Prince 2 methodology with the framework of PMI that I did back 20 years back. So that is very much possible. I did 2 or 3 projects on that. Also, the foundation, the skeleton was of PMI standard, and on top of that, I built everything according to the methodology of Prince 2, which is the UK-based methodology. Project managers may use one or more methodologies to implement the project management processes outlined in the standard. So this way, we can use the standards and the methodologies. Now, the scope of this guide, the standard for project management, why they have created the standard for project management, because previously they came up with our standard, our guide for project management body of knowledge. Why have they created the standard for project management? That is because later on PMI realized that in addition to project management is not the answer to everything. If you want to bring a change in an organization, to bring a change related initiative is not only project, but there could be something bigger than a project. It could be a program, there could be a portfolio. So once PMI realized that, they came up with the standards for program management and portfolio management. Still, PMBOK was still called a guide to project management body of knowledge. Only in 6th edition, they have separated the standard for project management to align with the standard for program management and the standard for portfolio management. Otherwise, this is a part of a guide to project management body of knowledge. Portfolio and programs will be addressed only to the degree they interact with the projects. In this standard, we only talk a little bit about projects and programs and portfolios just to make people understand how what does that mean and how does it interact with the project management. So PMI does have these other standards, the standard for program management and standard for portfolio management. They are the senior level standards than the project management, and these standards have their own certifications. For program management, we have got a program management professional certification. For portfolio management, we have a portfolio management professional certification. So these certifications are, superior to what PMP certification is. Um, all the common vocabulary used in different PMI standards has been assembled into one standard glossary. And that standard glossary is called PMI Lexicon of Project Management Terms. So PMI Lexicon of Project Management Terms provides the foundation foundational professional vocabulary that can be consistently used by organizations, portfolios, programs, project managers, and other project stakeholders. So everybody can start using the PMI lexicon. This is the language of PMI, the common language of PMI. This is the glossary for all project management terms. And the interesting thing is all the different standards, there are more than 30, 40 standards PMI has got. All the different standards have now the common vocabulary and common glossary and common definition. The lexicon will continue to evolve over time. The glossary of this guide include the vocabulary in the lexicon along with additional definitions. So this is the common vocabulary. Then PMI publishes also a code of ethics and professional conduct. Okay, before I can proceed ahead, I would like to ask you, because people have reduced in number anyways, right? Um, are you with me so far? Anybody having any difficulty in understanding anything? I can go back and describe those things. And I'm sorry for the problem which we just faced. जी फैसल
सर ये भी आपने लास्ट स्लाइड में लेक्सिकॉन का जिक्र किया है लेक्सिकॉन और ये डिक्शनरी ये एक ही चीज है इट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग
ग्लॉसरी है ना ग्लॉसरी का दूसरा लफ्ज है दिस इज अ कॉमन
ये
ग्लॉसरी
को
normally glossary is at the end of the book now. So what they have done is that for all, they do provide a glossary at the end of every standard, but what they have done is they have made a separate book of that glossary from all the standards, and all the definitions have been standardized now. So if the definition of program you see in the lexicon, the same definition you will find in the glossary of any of the books.
ओके तो जितने भी सर्टिफिकेशंस हैं सबकी इसके अंदर जो टर्मिनोलॉजीज है इसमें लेक्सिकॉन में अवेलेबल होंगी
जी 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 बिल्कुल एग्जैक्टली कॉमन डेफिनेशन दैट इज अवेलेबल anyone else any questions okay so let's talk about the code of ethics and the professional conduct. Now PMI has got a very nice way of recognizing the project management professional. They have created a code of ethics and a professional conduct for the project management. And why they have done so? They have done it. Ji Babar, just a minute. Ji Babar. Babar Shahzad, please, you can speak now. जी बाबर आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही अगर if you can write in the chat window if you are unable to speak or something. Okay, चलें जब भी lexicon, Tausif is asking if the lexicon can be shared. Yes, of course it can be shared. There is no problem. The first thing is, if you are a PMI member, all these standards are free for you. You can download anything from PMI standard. So number one is you must get your PMI membership and download your own standard. Otherwise, I will share the PMI lexicon. I'm noting down all the demands. I will put all these things in one bundle and put it into my OneDrive and share the link with you tomorrow. Ji Babar, are you able to say something? If you can unmute yourself, yes. Yes, please. You raised a hand. I wanted to ask you what was the problem. नहीं आ रही आवाज आप अच्छा खैर चलें जी let's move on to the code of ethics and professional conduct. Why did they create this? PMI created this to give more honor to their own profession, to instill confidence in the project management profession. The people who are practicing this profession, they must be confident themselves into their own profession, and also others should be able to look up to project managers, that they are people of value, they are upholders of their ethics and things like that. So to instill confidence in the project management profession and to help an individual in making wise decisions, what should you do and what should you not do, the right decisions you should be able to take. So this guide is provided, particularly when faced with difficult situations. There are lot many situations in which you have to, do something wrong, which is unethical, which is wrong. So you should know what you are doing and why you're doing, what should you not be doing, and what can you do. Where the individual may be asked to compromise his or her integrity or values. So first establish what are your values. PMI uh, gives you four values. The values that the global project management community defined as most important were responsibility, respect, fairness, and honesty. Now, if you read them more carefully, this is a separate booklet for Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct, and it is a very interesting read. It is not a very long document, but it's a very interesting read. For example, in responsibility, it says, you are responsible for what decisions you take and what actions you take. And you are responsible for what decisions you do not take and the actions you do not take. Now, this is a very curvy kind of a statement, but you must understand it. If you have taken a decision or you have taken an action, you must hold yourself responsible for the consequences, right? You cannot point fingers to others. It is in your responsibility. You are answerable for that. So voluntarily, you must answer for that. Secondly, if you have not taken a decision you should have taken, and there are negative consequences, you must stand up and take the responsibility for that. So whatever you have done and you have not done, both ways you are trying to take the responsibility. In respect, PMI says, first learn to respect yourself and then respect others. And most likely, the most important is respect your team members, your peers, your stakeholders. So give respect to get respect. Fairness, that is to ensure that all the decisions you take are genuine and fair. So no conflict of interest, no favoritism, no bribery, all must be fair. And honesty, again, it describes it very well. It says, honesty, first of all, understand honesty and then be honest. So you must know, you must not only believe that you are honest, but you must first understand what honesty really is. It's not that you believe that you are right and therefore you are right and you think you are honest. I tell you the example of honesty. For example, I must tell the truth. So I have told the truth, so I've done my responsibility. If I delay telling the truth by some time, as if somebody may not get that honest opinion and may be damaged, then this is not honesty. This is also dishonesty. If I have honestly not conveyed the message at the right time and I delayed it for my personal benefit, so that is also dishonesty. Or I manipulated the message. I gave half the message and kept half the message just to damage someone. This is also dishonesty. If I did not speak, that does not mean that you have been honest. if something wrong is going on and you did not speak up, this is also dishonesty. So this is just not the matter of that I did not lie. I was truthful. No, you were not truthful. You were silent. You were not truthful. The Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct affirms these four values as its foundations. And in each one of these four values, there are two types of standards: aspirational standards and mandatory standards. Like respect, there are certain aspirations about respect, what a project manager should be doing. And mandatory standards are that this is also a must, but this is a mandatory must. Meaning what? That if you do not do it, if you do not do a mandatory standard, then you are punishable. Aspirations are not option. Aspirations are also important. Aspirations are also must be done. But if you could not do them, you cannot be penalized for that. You might have done your best and still you could not achieve certain results. That was your aspiration. You tried to do it. But if you could not do it, this is not punishable. This is something which you tried. Mandatory is something, you are not allowed to do something. And if you do that, then that is a crime. That is a kind of a crime. This is mandatory standard is allocating that as a crime. So aspirational standards describe the conduct that practitioners who are also PMI members, certification holders or volunteers strive to uphold. The mandatory standards establish firm requirements and in some cases limit or prohibit practitioner behavior. Adherence to aspirational standards is not easily measured. Conduct in accordance with these is an expectation for those who consider themselves to be professionals. It is not optional, but this is an expectation. Practitioners who are also PMI members, certification holders or volunteers, and who do not conduct themselves in accordance with these standards will be subject to disciplinary procedure before PMI Ethics Review Committee. Okay, before we can move ahead, I just want to get a go ahead from you. Is it all right so far? Raise hand if you have any comments to make. Okay. Okay, I will not move ahead. I will rather like to talk a little bit about the certification itself for those who are interested to fill in their applications and all that. So let me move on to the other presentation about the certification itself and the standards. Let me show you. Okay, as far as PMI standards are concerned, you must be aware about all the standards which PMI has. As far as PMI guides, there are two guides. One is naturally the very first thing which came out was a guide to the project management body of knowledge, which is the basis for everything which is created in PMI. All the standards, all the different kinds of guides and standards are actually originated out of the PMBOK guide. Very recently, PMI has also been into the area of business analysis, and because business analysis overlaps project management a lot, therefore PMI did come up with a PMI guide to business analysis also. So if at all somebody asks you what are the guides PMI has released, then the one is a guide to project management body of knowledge, and the other is PMI guide for business analysis. These are core guides basically. Then what are the PMI core standards? PMI core standards, we have got naturally the PMBOK, program management, standard for program management, standard for portfolio management. You remember PMBOK the guide to the project management body of knowledge includes 3 sections, and part 2 is about the standard of project for project management. So the standard for project management is included in the PMBOK guide. So that one is for stand for project, then is the program, then is the portfolio, and the fourth core standard is the standard for organizational project management. And organizational project management is consolidation of all these 3 things: project management, program management, portfolio management put together is called organizational project management. And there is a fourth element which joins it all together, that is called organizational enablers. So organizational enablers work as a glue to put together all 3 types of change related initiatives. Although project management is the lowest type of initiative, program management is a bigger initiative in which a program can have more than one projects which are interrelated and intercoordinated. Projects can exist standalone, but portfolio management encompasses all the projects and programs in an organization into a portfolio, and the whole science of change encompassed by these project programs and portfolios in and is encapsulated into the standard for organizational project management. And we have already talked about the business analysis guide. Recently, PMI has come up with a new standard, that is the standard for earned value management. And very recently, day before yesterday, PMI came up with the standard for risk management for projects, programs, and portfolios. I just forgot to put that picture here, but that is the second standard which has been released very recently. There is another standard which has been discontinued, and that was Organizational Project Management Maturity Model. It used to be called OPM3. It went down to the second level, and after second level, they probably excluded it from the core standards for the reason probably that it has been outsourced uh, to some private organization. So OPM3 was basically to check the maturity level of an organization, to assess the maturity level of an organization in organizational project management, meaning in project management, in program management, portfolio management. So because that was something auditors have to do, so they have given that thing to someone else. There is a certification for OPM3. I don't know if they are conducting it, but it's a very expensive certification, and that is to assess the organizations for organizational project management maturity model. So these are the 4 different standards: program management standard, portfolio management, OPM, and earned value. And the fifth one is the risk management. And the one which is included in the PMBOK is the standard for project management. Then we have got practice standard. The practice standard is a lower level of the highest level is the guide. Second level is the standard, and the third level is the practice standard. Practice initially, all those things which become ultimately the standard, they basically are promoted from the practice standard. So you see here that we have got a practice standard for project estimation, practice standard for scheduling, earned value management, project risk management. Practice standard for project risk management has now been promoted to the standard for risk management for projects, programs, and portfolios. Similarly, earned value management, this standard, practice standard for earned value management, has been promoted to the standard for earned value. Then we have got the practice standard for configuration management, practice standard for work breakdown structure, and another kind of thing which is just like a maturity model. A maturity model applies to organizations, how mature an organization is in organizational project management, meaning in project management, in program management, and portfolio management. This is the organizational assessment. But if you want to do an individual assessment, that can be done through this standard, which is project manager's competency development framework. You can yourself assess yourself how good a project manager you are, and find the flaws in yourself and then try to bridge them. Or your organization can also hire someone to do the project management competency development to assess your competency and suggest to how you can improve. So this is a very interesting standard, which is Project Management Competency Development Framework. Then the next level after the practice standards is the practice guides. These are the guides which basically uh, explain certain areas of project management in further detail, and naturally these guides can also get promoted to go upwards. Like the business analysis for practitioner, a practice guide has been promoted to the PMI guide to business analysis. Then we have a requirement management practice guide, governance of portfolios, programs, and projects practice guide. Then we have implementing organizational project management, a practice guide. This one has been promoted to the standard for organizational project management. Then we have got agile practice guide, navigating complexity for complex projects. A practice guide is also available. The concept of change in an organization, managing change in organization. This is again an interesting concept. I was talking about the outcome. So that is benefit realization management. This is again a practice guide. On top of all that, PMI also serves to create certain extensions for certain areas. Like the people in construction agreed what PMBOK says, but they said we need to have certain other common practices only for construction. So please provide us an extension to PMBOK. We are ready to follow PMBOK, but in extension to PMBOK, we also need to standardize the construction project management practices. So for that purpose, construction extension was created for PMBOK. Government organizations in USA, they also requested the same, and they got a government extension for PMBOK. There is yet another Department of Defense USA also requested one, and they had a Department of Defense, a defense extension to PMBOK. The latest extension in this list is the software extension. So this is also a path of development of research PMI is pursuing. So you see, there are a number of uh, cer- different standards PMI has come up with. We have got guides, we have got DAS standards, we have got practice standards, we have got practice guides, we have got PMBOK extensions. And if you talk about various disciplines, in business analysis, we have got these three standard books. One is a guide, PMI Guide to Business Analysis, Business Analysis for Practitioners, Practice Guide, and Requirement Management, a Practice Guide. So these three books are all encompassing as well as the business analysis is confirmed. Similarly, earned value, we have got a standard for earned value and we have got a practice standard for earned value management. If you talk about organizational project management, we have got a standard for organizational project management, implementing organizational project management practice guide, and governance of project portfolios, programs, and projects, a practice guide. So you see, this is spreading. This is new knowledge is coming up, and PMI is continuously working on it. And who is working on it? Basically, you and me. We are the people who are actually writing these standards. A risk management standard, just day before yesterday it was released, and my name is mentioned there as contributor, and a lot of other standards also I keep contributing, and you can also contribute. That is not a big deal. So here I can show you a complete list of all the various versions and standards, and there are so many, and this is a complete set of knowledge. You just cannot stop reading all this. Whereas for PMP, only PMBOK guide is enough for you. But this is all the knowledge PMI has provided to you, and you can always take benefit of all this. And I will very strongly recommend that you should get into the habit of reading things. About PMP and CAPM certification, I hope none of you is going for CAPM. Anybody who has got less than 3 years of project management experience, please raise hand. Less than 3 years, Munib. Munib, how much experience do you have? Please explain. Munib, how much experience do you have?
Sir, I don't have any experience at the moment.
Okay. And how long have you been working?
6, 7 years.
And you think you have never been working on projects?
No, I haven't worked on projects.
What is your job definition?
Well, I'm currently in Toronto, right? I've just
Okay.
moved in. Before that, I was in Pakistan. I was working in a bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Munib, in that case, if you think that you have no project management experience, you cannot do PMP. There is a prerequisite for PMP that you have to have at least 3 years of project management experience. So if you can't do PMP right now because you do not have the requisite experience, then you can do something else, and that is called CAPM, Certified Associate in Project Management. Right? The course is same, training is same, but it is much simpler and easier questions, shorter paper. But you can appear in that and wait for your experience to complete as if you can appear for PMP exam. But CAPM is equally popular. Do you understand my point?
Yeah.
Okay, Nikhat, what is your experience?
Sir, I also don't have any experience because I have done my recently my post graduation,
Okay,
so
so
I
you
don't work yet, so therefore I have got no experience for
okay.
project management.
I will suggest you download the CAPM handbook, not the PMP handbook. Download the CAPM handbook. You can download both.
Sure, sir.
You can download both, but you must focus on the CAPM handbook. CAPM does not
Okay.
require any experience, right? So you can go for
Sure,
CAPM
sir.
exam, and that will work for you. Ji Munib, you wanted to say something? Ji Munib?
Yes, sir.
Oh, जी जी ये कुछ कह रहे हैं मुनीब आप?
No, sir. I'm fine.
ओके. और हाफिज मोहम्मद, जी जनाब. आसिम आसिम अहमद, बोलिए. जी आसिम, अनम्यूट कीजिएगा अपनी तरफ से जी.
Yeah, hello.
हाँ जी.
Yeah, sir, I have an experience in the school field around 6 months,
Okay.
and I'm working on the VET implementation in Riyadh. It's around 1 year, so
Okay.
it will be total 1.5 years, you can say, for
And
the.
what you are doing right now is a project.
You can say a project or you cannot, but I'm not sure about this. It will be considered a project or not.
Anyways, 1.5 year is not sufficient. Even if it is all a project, 1.5 year is not sufficient. So I will suggest you
Okay.
to also go for CAPM. So
Okay.
uh, who all said that? Hafiz Asim, Nikhat, and who was Munib. And as far as Asim and Munib are concerned, you both are abroad. Asim, you are in Saudi, and Munib is in Canada. So CAPM will suit you fantastic. It will suit you very well. And after 2 3 years, when you have enough experience, you can go for PMP. But you can start reaping the benefits of PMP by getting your CAPM certification.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Wonderful. Okay, so that was necessary to ask because we should not only be talking about the PMP, we should also be talking about the CAPM here. As far as the PMP handbook is concerned, you know, you go to PMI website, click on certifications, and you will be shown a list of 8 different certifications. 8 different certifications. Uh, j- uh, those of you who are interested in PMP or who have sufficient experience to go for PMP, you click on the PMP certification. On the right hand side, you will be shown certain documents which can be downloaded. One is a PMP handbook and other is a PMP exam content outline. Please download both of these things. As far as the people who are interested in CAPM are concerned, you will not click on PMP, you will click on CAPM. So from there, download the CAPM handbook and CAPM exam content outline, right? So that way, you will be having the relevant documents. Get this small little document printed, and this gives you all the details how to apply for the certification. So let me explain a little bit about this certificate. This is the CAPM handbook, and this is the exam content outline. Just to show you a little graph. What is yeah? This is how PMP has been on rise. Right now, there are in 2018. By the end of 2018, there were almost 8,65,000 plus PMPs in the world, and you see the graph is continuously rising. When I did my PMP, it was probably 40,000 people were there only in the whole wide world, and now we are having almost almost near to 900,000 people, almost a million, right? So this number is rising, and the competition is getting tougher every day. Okay, how do these certifications come into being? Basically, when PMI realizes there is a market need for a certain type of certification, they conduct a market research in response to the market need. They hire outside bodies, private organizations to conduct the market research, and they do this research for quite a bit of time. This takes about 3 to 5 years. After every 3 to 5 years, new research comes up. So this research will establish the need for this certification, or if for that matter this certification is already existing, they want to see the market need for this certification has changed or not. That is called role delineation study. They conduct the role delineation study, and as a result of that, they come up with a consolidated list of characteristics a project manager should have, a PMP should have. This characteristic list is given to the exam specification people, and exam specification people specify what tasks this project manager should know how to do. So all the tasks are defined under those characteristics, and these will form as examination specification. This examination specification is given to the exam developers, and they will create the questions for the exam exactly in accordance with the examination specification. Once the exam has been developed, and for the very first time, it is sent out as a pilot, tested, and once it is established, then it is released into the market, and then continuously it is revised. So this is a continuous process. The exam keeps changing, market demand keeps changing. Even for PMP, the role delineation study does occur after every 3 to 7 years, and every time there is a role delineation study, as a response to that, exam changes. PMP exam changes in two situations. Number one, due to the role delineation study, the market demand has changed, and they need different type of a project manager now. They don't want old project managers. They want agile project managers or something like that. So the role delineation study will characterize that, and then the exam will be revised according to that. Second reason to change the exam is when a guide to project management body of knowledge is revised. This also occurs after every 4 years. Every 4 years, PMBOK is revised, and with revision of PMBOK, exam also revised. For the time being, there is no chance that PMBOK or role delineation study is not in the way for the next, say, 6 to 9 months. So this is a very safe period. You can apply for the exam in this period, because when the exam is changing, the rate of failure goes very high. So general rule is don't apply when the exam is changing. How do you apply for the exam? To apply for the exam, you can go online on the pmi.org, click on your certification PMP, and there on the right hand corner there will be a button saying apply now. If you press that, then it will take you to the application process, and there's a multi-page application which can take quite some time to fill, so you cannot complete it in one sitting. So therefore, um, take your time, take 4 or 5 days, collect all the data and fill that data in, and when the application is complete, you can submit the application online. They will give you 90 days. If you do not complete your application in 90 days, they will get back and they will close your application. But I think 90 days is 3 months. That is too much of time. So application can be submitted very conveniently in 5 to 10 days. Once your application has been submitted, PMI will send you a message back, and that would be application completeness review. That would just say that you have completed your application and it has been accepted. Accepted in the way that it has not been audited as yet, but at least it is found to be complete. That only that much. So after that, they will ask you to make the payment. Once you have made the payment, probably the payment process has been taken away after the audit process. So after the completeness review, they will inform you if your application has been selected for audit. Audit means 10% of applications are taken at random out of all the applications, and they are selected for audit, and whatever claims you have made in your application, from where you have studied, what experience you have got and all that, these are the things which will be audited. So for each one of the item which has to be audited, maybe one of your educations or one of your experiences, or maybe all of your experiences and all of your education, whatever. So they will create as many what do you call it, trans uh, 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 transcripts. Yes, they will create as many transcripts and send them by PDF file, by email to you. You will print them out and take the relevant transcript to the relevant person to sign. For example, there is one transcript for uh, taking to the university from where you have done your last degree. So you in your application must have mentioned the name of the university, the person responsible, and the number and email of that person. Similarly, if you have done a job somewhere, you will have to provide all these details. So take this transcript to that person which you have mentioned in your application, and that person is going to sign that privately, not in your presence, not in front of you, in private, and he will fold it and seal it into an envelope, seal it with his signature, and give the envelope, sealed envelope to you. You collect all the sealed envelopes from all these people and then package them together and send them to PMI by courier. So, if you have already organized and provided the names of those people who are in near access, then probably it will not take more than 4 or 5 days to get them signed from all these people, and then another 4 to 5 days to get it to USA, and ultimately your audit will be complete. But PMI has provided you 90 days. 3 months are given to you for completing your audit. But it is your uh, advantage that you should do it as soon as possible. So try to do it as soon as possible. And once your audit has been completed, PMI will accept it. If they accept it, then they will give you a letter through which you will be able to sit in the exam. Okay, I just forgot. The payment process comes after this. Uh, After your audit, you will make your payment, and then you will get a letter for exam eligibility, which will provide you a web address to register your exam and a password and username, eligibility number. These details you will provide into your on that website, and you will book your exam in the exam center of your choice, day of your choice, time of your choice, whatever, any working day you can choose. But the condition is that seat must be available in that center. If the seat is available, you will be given that time. So you will have 1 year, one complete year to sit in the exam. So you can take your time, but I would suggest uh, don't take too much time. 3 months is okay. 3 months is ideal. Within 1 to 3 months, you should appear in the exam. But if you want to delay it, do not delay it more than 6 months, because you are cleared through this process for 3 attempts. 3 attempts does not mean that you don't have to pay for the second and third attempt. You will have to pay, but that would be a lesser amount. But why should you not be passing in the first attempt? So you must pass in the first attempt, but still try to do within 6 months, because if you are unable to clear the exam, you still have 6 months left to prepare and give the exam. Do not panic. Do not jump to the next exam immediately after the first, because you must first understand what mistakes you have been making. You must thoroughly prepare. Give yourself about 3 months to prepare for the next exam, and then sit in the exam. And why I'm saying 3 months? Because after 3 months, if you still fail, still you will have 3 months period, and you can use your third attempt there. But anyways, I'm very, very sure that you will pass the exam in the very first attempt. But in case you do not pass the exam in all the 3 attempts, you will be debarred for one complete year. You can't apply in the next year. So you have to, wait for another year to apply for the fourth time. Um, and it will be a fresh application now. Second important thing is this is just not normal. This does not happen. Normally, people pass the exam in the first attempt. It's a very expensive exam. You are paying through your nose, so you must be very careful. You must prepare very well and do not waste your money. Uh, but I have seen only few cases, very, very few cases, who have not been able to pass the exam even in 3 attempts. Anyways, I'm not making you afraid of that. I'm sure you will pass in the very first attempt. Once you have passed your exam, you will be granted the status of PMP. That stands good for your 3 year certification cycle. In 3 years, after 3 years, you have to renew it. Uh, to renew, you have to show 60 professional development units have been achieved in last 3 years, and you can renew your credential by paying $60 if you're a member and $150 if you are not a member. Credential renewal, if you do not do it in time, your credential will be suspended. If you do not do it in 3 years, in fourth year you are suspended. You cannot write PMP with your name, but this one whole complete year is given to you to complete the requirements and pay for it. And then your renewal will be done. And do not expect that renewal period will start after the renewal. Actually, your period has started from the date your previous uh, credential cycle expired. So if it expired on 31st of December 2018, then no matter when you know fulfill the requirement, maybe you do it at the November of 2019, but your membership will be renewed from 1st January 2019. If you do not do that in 1 year, you do not renew your credential, then your credential is expired completely and you are no more PMP. then if you really wish to be a PMP, you will have to apply fresh, give a new exam and all that. Same is the procedure for CAPM. Criteria for PMP, let me show you. Criteria for PMP, as I was saying, if you are a graduate with 16 years of education, 4-year bachelor degree, then you just need to have 3 years of experience, 36 months unique, non-overlapping. Your experience should not overlap. You can't be doing 2 projects at a time. If it is the case, your time will be counted only towards one project. Project 1, the experience of project 2 will start after project 1 has finished. And in these 36 years, you have to show 4,500 hours of project management experience, leading and directing project tasks in whatever capacity, not as a project manager. It could be as a supervisor, could be as a team leader, whatever. So if you have this experience, then you need 35 hours of training, which this training which I am providing you will fulfill. People who do not have bachelor's degree can also apply for PMP, but then their requirement is minimum 5 years of experience, 60 months unique non-overlapping experience, and 7,500 hours spent leading and directing project tasks. And again, they have to have 35 contract hours. I hope there is nobody with that requirement. Is there anyone who does not have a proper graduation? You can raise hands if anybody. There are the old people did not have the graduation degree was only 2 years. If some of you are from that category, then probably so it doesn't apply to you. So don't worry. As far as the CPM people are concerned, CAPM has a very relaxed kind of option available to you. First option is you have a secondary school diploma, not even graduation, and 1 year of experience, that is 1,500 hours of professional experience on a project team, not even a leading. So 1 year experience, you are okay to go and sit in the CAPM exam, no other requirement. And for those who have absolutely no experience at all, they just attend 23 hours of training and go sit in the exam, right? So both of the options are possible. So I think three of you, all of you three have some experience, at least 1 year experience. If not, even then don't bother. You still fulfill this requirement, the lower one. For PMP exam, there are 200 questions, 4 hours. Out of these 200 questions, 25 questions will be trial questions. These trial questions, the pre-test questions, are not scored, but you will not know which are these 25 questions. They will be mixed into the 200 questions final exam. Therefore, forget about it. This 25 does not matter to you. Just focus on 200 questions, and you must focus on achieving 85% marks minimum. Only then you stand a chance to pass. For CAPM, the exam is much simpler, easier, and the questions are also less. Time is also less. 3 hours, 150 questions. 15 are the unscored questions, but anyways, I said forget about 15. You will have 150 questions in 3 hours. So again, the speed is the same, 50 questions per hour. This is how you have to go about it. Right, I think this information is, that's all I want to communicate to you today. If you have any questions, you can raise hands as if we can discuss the final moments. Ji, anyone? Ji, Tausif.
Assalamu alaikum, Iqbal sir.
Assalamu alaikum, Janab.
Thank you very much, sir, for today's lecture. It was really informative for the information, from an information perspective. Just a quick thought, sir. Just a quick question, in fact, for the benefit of all.
Ji.
May we I'm not a PhD, sir.
आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही थी, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही थी। करीब आ जाए, माइक के करीब आ जाए थोड़े।
हेलो
पहले आपकी आवाज ठीक आ रही थी, फिर आप माइक से दूर चले गए।
हेलो।
हाँ जी, अब ठीक है, अब ठीक है।
जी जी। सो मैं सिर्फ ये पूछना चाह रहा हूँ इकबाल सर, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस जो है इज क्वाइट इनफ इन अ वे कि मैंने अरामको में कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स पे काम किया है, सऊदी अरामको में, एंड एट द मोमेंट आई एम सर्विंग विद वन ऑफ द फर्म अर्नस्ट एंड यंग, और उसमें मैं जो है डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स के ऊपर काम कर रहा हूँ, वेदर इट्स क्लाइंट सर्विंग और रिलेटेड फ्रॉम ऑपरेशनल पर्सपेक्टिव।
अच्छा।
जस्ट अ थॉट,
जी
मेरी
जी
इंफॉर्मेशन जो है रिलेटेड टू पीएमपी enrollment with the subject, with the qualification is very basic.
ओके।
So is there a way that I can develop myself before I go and register myself for the exam or with the PMI website पर जो आपका है institute?
जी जी
So उससे पहले मुझे I just wanted to get myself clear from a knowledge perspective that is this the right way, is this the right qualification that I'm choosing for myself to be on the track? Because I really wanted to put all my experience onto the track so that I can give a name to my experience actually.
जी, बिल्कुल बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं आप। आपको किस किस्म की
जी
सपोर्ट चाहिए, आप मुझे बताइए, मैं आपकी मदद करने के लिए तैयार
सर,
हूँ।
जो आपने आज जितना कुछ बताया है आई एम प्रीटी मच क्लियर। सो मैं आई वाज इन द मिडल ऑफ ड्राफ्टिंग एन ईमेल फॉर यू कि जो भी मेरी क्वेरीज हैं आई विल कम बैक टू यू, एंड दैट वुड बी गुड अगर हम वो जो क्वेरीज होंगी कल डिस्कस भी कर लें, सो फॉर द बेनिफिट ऑफ अदर्स, अगर किसी का भी कोई ऐसा पॉइंट हो
हाँ
तो वो भी सामने आ सकता है। जी
बिल्कुल जी, बिल्कुल सही। आप मुझे भेजें डिटेल्स और हम उसको भी कल डिस्कस कर लेंगे, कोई ऐसा मसला नहीं है।
जी, राइट राइट। और सर सी ए पी एम के लिए जो आपने अभी कुछ लोगों को एडवाइस किया, सजेशन दी है,
जी जी
सो उनके लिए इस कोर्स को अभी कंटिन्यू करना, would it be as advisable for them or is it going to add any value to their profile, to their knowledge, या कैसे
सर,
वो जो है आप इस चीज को?
सर बात ये कि उनके लिए तो ये बिल्कुल एसेट हो गया ना, ये कोर्स कर लिया उन्होंने, तो उनको पीएमपी की
एग्जैक्ट,
रिक्वायरमेंट वो वाली भी पूरी हो गई, लेकिन नॉलेज भी तो ज्यादा आ जाएगा ना उनके पास, तो उनके लिए
बिल्कुल
आसानी हो जाएगी,
बिल्कुल
एग्जाम बहुत ही आसान हो जाएगा, बहुत ही आसान हो जाएगा उनके लिए। तो उनको ये पूरा कोर्स करना चाहिए।
बिल्कुल ठीक है सर, बिल्कुल ठीक है। राइट, थैंक यू सर।
मोस्ट वेलकम जी, मोस्ट वेलकम। एनीवन एल्स जी, एनीवन, एनी मोर क्वेश्चंस? अच्छा जी, if there are no more questions, let us meet tomorrow and I hope and I wish कि कल हमारे साथ ये कुछ ना हो जो आज हुआ है, कनेक्टिविटी रहे। और आई एम वेरी सॉरी फॉर डिस्कम्फर्ट, जो मेरा ख्याल है हमारा कोई आधा घंटा तो ज़ाया हुआ होगा इस सारे चक्कर के अंदर, बट इंशाल्लाह विल कैच अप एंड सी यू टुमारो। टेक केयर ऑफ योर सेल्फ। हैप्पी रमजान टू ऑल ऑफ यू। खुदा हाफिज।